fantastic noise. Will I ever shag again? That is the question I'm asking myself today. It's very easy, isn't it? It's very easy in the moment to moment, the day to day, to just feel the mundaneness of life, the hopelessness at times, feel like one is making no progress and it's all pointless. Which, don't get me wrong, in general, I think it is all pointless, because I don't think any of this exists. I'm not sure if you or I even exist. But let's pretend we do and speak from that perspective. So, I can very easily get frustrated and depressed and feel retarded and like I am my own worst enemy, which again, in many cases is true. But if I actually look back at how I used to cope, some people might say behave, but it's all coping, every action that we do is essentially trying to cope with this existence. I used to I was going to say Mexico. When I was in Cambodia, that's 3 months ago, something like that. I was having 3 joints and a tuggio before I even thought about doing anything. I usually just live my whole life in this state of comatosing myself, essentially, with a green herb and just spaffing my juice, my energy everywhere, because I just couldn't fucking contain it. It was too much. And and then the sexual thing, whoa, that used to be rampant. So obviously what sexual addiction is, love addiction is, essentially we're searching for love. And really what that is in this world is validation and attention and just somebody being like, I think you're alright. I love you. As long as you don't do this, and this. Or point out this, and this about me. So, there was a time when I was so broken in myself and so incomplete. And that's not to say I'm complete now, but I'm much more I'm at a point where I'm happy enough in myself that I don't seek anything from another. So the idea of a relationship now to me is just ridiculous. So for example, I wrote in the Delat Expat Facebook group recently, are there any pickleball communities? And yes, there is. And a woman has got in touch and she's like, I'll play pickleball with you anytime. Fuck. And obviously I can just see underneath that, I can see where this goes. And there's no part of me that, that's what I went into a whole fantasy of where this would go. I don't mean fantasy as in I want it, I just mean seeing it. And what I'm going to do when I'm in this group, because Vietnamese people are super friendly and they're going to be interested in me because I'm an interesting guy. And it's inevitable that if I start going regularly to a Vietnamese pickleball group, the next thing will be, come out for a drink with us, come out for food with us. And I'm going to have to say, no. And when they go, why? Like always, I'll be honest and just say, I have no need for friendship. Because essentially, it just sort of occurred to me, literally just as I was sat then, that I think there's 2 reasons people have friends. I mean, obviously there's all the ego stuff, but I mean, fundamentally, when we get down to it, there's the fear of life, and this comes up for me, there's a sense of what if shit hits the fan, who can I rely on? So essentially manipulation and neediness, and being a friend with someone in case one day you need someone, I think that's reason one. And reason two is asexual. Underneath asexual is love or validation. But that often can't be accessed by many people, which is why it plays out as asexual, as in asexual addiction. And so once you have no desire for asexual stuff, then why would you even be friends with someone? Unless you're in fear. And I notice that fear, it comes up in me, but then I'm just like, yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Maybe in 10, 20 years when I'm a bit older, I might consider it. But then I'll be even more empowered and sovereign, so I won't. Anyway, so I think it's either day 6 or day 7 without a tug. So, you know, my 20s, major asexual addiction. My 30s, major masturbation addiction. I'm now 40. Up until 7 days ago, I was trying to push out 2 a day. But the last week, it got down to 1. Like my equipment was just like, no, I'm too old. I'm too old and too dishevelled. So it was 1. And I was really noticing the drop after that 1. Like this sense that basically my whole day was, like that was the highlight of the day basically. And before it I'd have a smoke, and as I was smoking I'd feel this excitement and this like tingle in my junk. And yeah, it was, I really saw like how, oh God, how do I put this into words? How much I'd relied on it all my life, how much it excited me, but it was really the thought of having something to do that excited me. But then that something to do was over in 10 minutes, and then it was just like bump. And what I mean by bump wasn't like not shame or any nonsense like that. I just mean energetically, like I did a video recently linking it to dopamine, like really feeling like how tugging is like the high of dopamine, like the dopamine and the serotonin is just like But then once the explosion has happened, really noticing that bump after the intense brain chemical surge. And it's taken like 10 years of constant self-observation and learning to feel and witness oneself to be able to notice that. Very recent thing for me. And then suddenly, the last 7 days, I've not been resisting at all. It just, like, it comes up, I'm like, oh, should I have a tug now? And I'm just, I can't even go into the fantasy anymore. So I've done sex 4 times in the last year, and every time it's been, oh no, once it was decent, but only from a love addiction point of view. You know, it wasn't actually, it was fucking horrendous. And so basically I knew relationships were futile and unnecessary from my point of view and where I'm at, for at least a couple of years, maybe 18 months. But the fantasy or the desire to escape oneself through asexual happenings, I could still, you know, so basically the reason it only happened 4 times in the last year is because I know that it's meaningless, unsatisfying, doesn't lead to anything worthwhile. It is a negative in my life, let's put it that way. But every now and again, 4 times, you know, the fantasy was stronger than the rationality. But now, like when it comes up, I try and go into that fantasy. I try and go into allowing it to overtake me, and I just can't. Now, I have to take into account the fact that I'm currently in Vietnam. So I only really find people of my culture attractive. So it's easy when you're not surrounded by people you find attractive. That definitely makes things easier. But it's deeper than that, because that didn't used to matter. My desire to escape myself was far stronger than any like rationality over what I find attractive. So yeah, it leaves after 7 days of 6 or 7 days. So I can't say I feel way better. However, today I am going to go and join this pickleball club. So maybe that's like the extra energy it's giving me is allowing me to do that. Because that's something I've been wanting to do for ages. But every day I'm just like, oh, do it tomorrow, do it tomorrow, do it tomorrow. And today I'm like, no, I'll do it today. I'm sure I'll tug again. But genuinely wondering whether I'll ever shag again. I just can't see how it's going to happen. I'm really shallow. Or, know my worth. You could see it either way. But I'm never gonna, I could shag an unconscious person, but I'm never going to put up with any sort of unconsciousness or stupidity because I'm desperate, because I'm not that desperate. In terms of a relationship, right, so yeah, so there's my journey, there's me like not needing it anymore, there's me being sovereign enough in myself to not need validation from another. But then there's also the fact that I wouldn't be with anyone unconscious. I wouldn't be with anyone certainly over the age of 30, probably 25. I'm not interested in wrinkles and ugliness. I just want to pull up the top, which is obviously completely unrealistic because I'm 40, I have wrinkles in the belly. I am super conscious though. So it's just like, if I was to allow this fantasy to keep going on and playing out, it would cause me so much anguish. Because I'm seeking something like, what percentage are we down to now? So you've got gay, so that's like what, 10% of the population. Then you've got hot, so we're down to like what, 1% now. Then you've got conscious, so now we're down to 0.01% of all those three together. The Venn diagram of those three would be a very small overlap. So yeah, I feel absolutely fine about it. There's obviously my usual disinterest in life still. That's a bit strong. But what I mean is I'm not like, oh, I love life, I'm so happy, but there is just no story left of the other. None at all. It's actually amazing how, I used to think it was, I used to think my antisocialness was trauma-based and was something that I needed to get over, and the more I heal and do the work, the more social I become. It's actually been completely the opposite. I have gone from trying to create communities and centres and bring people together, and I look back at that stage of my life. So I created a spiritual shadow work centre. Like I had no idea who I was. I thought that I could run that place. I thought I could talk to people and they would like me. But what happens in all my interactions, people are either like in awe of me, but that never works because then I get pedestaled and it's too much pressure on me and I just can't handle it. So those friendships never work. Or people just dismiss me because I trigger the hell out of them because I point out all their retardation. Just being in my presence, being in my aura is very exposing. Because nothing gets past me, and I'm gonna say 99% of it. I might hold back on 1% sometimes, but not often. I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it. And people just obviously can't stand that. Because we live in a world where everyone's, wearing the mask, the persona. And I just rip those personas off. So yeah, so the people I actually passed that centre on to when it failed under my leadership, they're exactly what it needs. They're love and light. They wouldn't say boo to a goose. They'll empower people's retardation. Like they've got trans people there now and stuff, and they're like, yeah, it's okay to be trans. So they value profit and success of the community over truth. Which is a very wise decision in 2026. I'm just too dedicated to the truth and authenticity. Like I can't, I feel the distortion if I don't do that. I just can't live like that. But I totally acknowledge that, that's why I can't run those. So yeah, the point is, the fact that I thought that I could be the face of this social place where people need mollycoddling, just to look back on that now, and that was only 4 years ago. So I lost 150 grand in that, and I look at the Tom before that, and he ran a dog care centre, which was obviously just pleb clients. So they'd come in, would either talk about dogs or the weather or whatever bullshit they'd seen on TV. And I'd pander to it for 30 seconds, and then I'd go and hide behind a wall and let my staff deal with them until they left. That's how I dealt with the public. And I thought that I could then go and be the face of some spiritual centre and run that. But what, was I planning on hiding behind a wall? Well, yeah, to be fair, I did. I spent a lot of my time hiding in the kitchen. Oh God, it was a disaster. But the point is, I didn't know who I was. And this is when I was 36. But most people live their whole lives not knowing who they are. And I think I think I'm just getting to a place of knowing and assuredness and comfort within that I'm no longer, there's none of this going on. So this pickleball community this afternoon that I'm going to, I am going to be in, out. I'm gonna play my pickleball, and I'm gonna go I literally just want to play pickleball. I don't want any of the social stuff. Even if it was in England, it just would mean nothing to me. But then you add up the different culture and all that. It's not even relevant. All right, that was fun, wasn't it? Was it fun enough to click some buttons? We must have got something out of it at some point. See you soon.